When your body says stop, but you're not ready to quit. Isn't that the truth? When you're in your 70s and 80s, don't you have obstacles to come up in your face, health wise, aging wise, and you have a little disruption in your life? It could be a disruption in one of your passions, or could be more serious than that. Could be disruption in your whole life. How do you deal with that? That's today's topic. So I'd like to present one of the passions I had that was disrupted first, a minor thing compared to a lot of people. Then we'll get into the comments, and I've got several comments that show some major comebacks because of their health and their body says stop, but they keep going. I'm going to share their stories. So let's jump into it. So in our 70s and 80s, life is going to throw some obstacles into our path once in a while. Aging, health, injuries, all kind of things. And how do we deal with that? That's something that's a big concern. And we're survivors, and we have dealt with it, and we will be dealing with it. So let's share some of these cases in the comments that you've experienced, and let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation. I'm going to share first my passion that I had after I retired, and I got a passion for race walking. I'll tell you about that. And then I'm going to jump into the comments and share some true life comments about people overcoming some health obstacles and how they did it. Well, I retired and started walking at the senior center, and I enjoyed that. And I found out about competition about walking, and I learned race walking. And I qualified with the state of Georgia race walking for the National Senior Games. In 2015, I jumped on a plane and went up to Minneapolis, Minnesota, and participated in my first national race walk, the National Senior Games. And that's me in this photograph on the right side, taken up there in Minneapolis in 2015 by the photographer for the National Senior Games. I was hooked. I really put everything in that race I could. I couldn't talk for about 5 or 10 minutes after I finished the race. And I was hooked. I liked that a lot. And so for the next 9 years, I have competed on a national level. I went into Albuquerque, New Mexico, and got a gold medal in the indoor 1,500-meter race walk. And I went to Spokane, Washington, and got a bronze medal in the 10K race walk. And my last race, I went to Lexington, Kentucky, and 3 years ago, and I got a silver medal, beating out two high school coaches to win a silver medal in the 5K and the 10K race walks. So I was having a good time. I totally became a race walker. That was my identity. People would ask me about my next race and how did I do each race and things like that. And I totally enjoyed it. I trained very hard 2 years ago for the National Senior Games in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I got a ticket, airline ticket, and a ticket registered, and I trained my butt off. And I figured I'd come in second if I did the time I've been doing. And guess what? I did the last race training, and I got AFib. My heart started fluttering. I looked at my Garmin watch, and it was like heartbeat of 140, and then 65, and 30, 125, and it's fluttered all over the place. Went to the hospital, and they said, buddy, you got AFib. So I know a lot of you have had AFib. Very common, very common. And so I'm no different than anybody else. I got a strong heart, but I do have AFib. Now it's been, 2 years later, and I've adjusted. It was hard to adjust because your whole kind of identity gets hooked up in that passion, whether you're a pickleball player, motorcycle rider, skydiver, whatever you are, in retirement with your passion, you have a lot invested in that. I could go into details about that, but I don't have time. Anyway, that was disrupted. So I still walked, and I started a walking group and led the Walking for Fitness group. And so that's how I participated. Now, I just signed up for the U.S. Track and Field Masters Outdoor National Championship in Birmingham, Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama, in the middle of July. I'm going back, but I'm not going back like I was before. I'm adjusting. I'm not going to win. I'm just going to participate. I've I've done a little training. I watched my health, lost a little weight, and I look forward to getting back and seeing some of the people I used to race with. I enjoy that, and seeing all the competition, camaraderie from other athletes. I love that. I miss that, and I'm still going to participate in that, not to the same degree, but I will enjoy my trip. I hope. I'll say I'm planning on that because at this age you don't say I will be doing that. I'll say I'm planning on that. Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, as they say. Anyway, that's my story. And as far as a passion goes, I mean, that's just a passion. It's not a life-threatening thing or anything disruptive like a lot of people have had. But let's don't, discount our passions. We like to do what we like to do. Somebody sent a quote in, Three Dog Night, that group, the music group. And this commenter said he went to see them in concert, and the main guy, singer, came out. I forgot his name. Chuck Nigel, maybe. He was sitting down and he had oxygen on, and he belted out a song, and then he explained. He said, sometimes you have to do what you got to do to continue enjoying what you like to do. So sometimes you got to do what you got to do to continue doing what you like to do, your passion. And I like that quote. That kind of says it all, doesn't it? So what are some of the things in your life that's been disrupted? And how did you come back? Be thinking of that, because I'd like to know in the comments. We would all like to know. I think one thing I've heard over and over is people really enjoy reading the comments because they feel they're not alone. Other people our age are going through the same things. And it helps to share your story, and it helps to find out that other people are encountering some of the same things, and find out their story, how they are dealing with this. So please take the time to continue to make comments. I would greatly appreciate it. Other people's story, listen to this. These are amazing stories. Motorcycle rider at 77 years old. He took a nasty fall. He said he went over an embankment that was 75 foot down. I mean, it's amazing. He's still living. Broke ribs. The ribs are mending, and he's still riding. He's not going to quit. He's just not going to do that particular trail again. Amazing. Another commenter, Hoots522, she's 78 years old. This woman, my gosh, I think she had an abusive husband. She left. She's renting a room. She's had many health problems. But she says, and this came out of the blue, she says, she's never been happier. She's never been happier. My God, when I read that, I actually teared up. Any of you other tough guys tear up these days? Are you more emotional? I've got a brother, 6'2", big guy. He was a football coach and a sports coach. And he told me he tears up at watching the Hallmark movies. So if he can do it, I guess it's okay for us to do it. Got a stroke survivor in a wheelchair, severe nerve pain, but still engaging with life, found meaning in sharing his truth. So talking about it helps. Share your truth, your story. And here's a good one. Skydiver at 89 years old. Defies the aging stereotypes. And he was full of humor and resilience. I mean, these are really inspiring stories of people making comebacks. Musician with Parkinson's disease. And he said he adjusts how he plays, but he refuses to stop sharing his gift. That determination. Some people handle it like they just power through hell of high water. There's several different ways to handle these things. Some people just bulldoze through the way, keep going. Some people stop and find a way to enjoy the activity, the passion, if we're talking about that, in different ways. There was a pickleball player my wife saw this morning, and she said, "I saw Larry, and he was setting up for the 4th of July tournament, for the pickleball tournament. You know, he used to be a big pickleball player. He's well into his 80s, and he still enjoys pickleball. But rather than being a competitor, he is now running the concert, the tournament. And so he's still involved. He still gets the camaraderie. He gets to see the game, and he runs the tournament. So I think that's an absolutely wonderful story from Larry. Another person I know was a race walker, and she got injured, and she turned into a judge. So she would judge the competition. So she would still go to the meets, enjoy everybody and the event, and she would be a judge. Another person had a passion, and they could no longer do it, and they turned into a trainer. They would train other people to enjoy, the same passion. These experiences, they keep us connected. So when that gets disrupted by your health, you try to find a way to still participate and enjoy that same passion. And there's several different ways to do that. But you have to have real talk about this. You have to really look at the realities. I mean, I'm no expert. I'm going through this myself, of course. And I don't know the answer. I'm just giving it a try and finding a way. And sometimes you have to be realistic. Maybe there is a time to quit. And maybe you can still enjoy it. There's different ways to enjoy things even when you have to stop. So I don't know the answers, but I just was sharing some of my way I dealt with my passion being disrupted and sharing some of the wonderful comments we got. So I'd like to know your story. What kind of comebacks have you had? How do you deal with disruptions with health? Sometimes it's not just a passion. Sometimes it's very serious, life-threatening type thing that you come back from. But sometimes it's just day to day. I mean, when you're this age, just day to day. When you get sick, did it take longer to come back? How do you come back from just normal day, week to week stuff? Once in a while, maybe you get COVID, maybe you get the flu, maybe you get a hip replacement or a knee replacement. There's been some amazing stories of people coming back, continue to walk and getting out there and enjoying life again, not giving up. And that's what we're talking about today. So if you would, please leave me your comment down below so I and other viewers can see what you're going through and how you're analyzing these situations and how you plan to come back. So again, I thank you very much for your support, and I'm Robert signing off. Thanks very much for watching.